Oh, hey guys.
Oh, what's up?
Troubles again. I got technical troubles. Cameras coming on and off. I tell you. How's everyone doing?
Good, good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good.
You up late working on videos? I know you said you were doing a video
Oh,
late yesterday.
yeah.
You're always making videos, man. You're
Well,
crazy.
I had to deliver these videos for, well, you guys saw it. It's the startups in Korea.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was their thing. They're very excited to win all those awards, so they had me shoot them and all that stuff. So definitely, but hey, it's the big game, Super Bowl. What? Who's playing? I have been so deep in the woods.
All right.
What?
I'll give
Who's
you the
expected to
rundown.
win? Who's favored?
Let
What's
me give you
happening?
the rundown quick since we got a couple minutes for people to come on. Make sure to hit the like button too as you guys come on. Um, so first it's Tennessee versus the Bengals,
Okay.
which is going to be an awesome game.
Wow.
The Bengals
Those
are
two,
playing, yeah,
no
Joe
one would have
Burrow.
predicted.
Joe Burrow lighting it up. We got Derrick Henry coming back, so that's going to be crazy. And then after that, you got my Packers hosting the 49ers, which 49ers are playing like world beaters right now. And Debo Samuel's scary. And I'm definitely nervous. I'm not sure if Nick Bosa is playing. Let me check right now
Right.
because he had a concussion. He clears concussion protocol. He'll be playing tonight. So that's another
Oh,
not
fun.
good. The Packers just barely beat them in the regular season. And then tomorrow you have probably the premier matchup. You have the Bills and the Chiefs playing, which is going to be an amazing game. And
Right,
then you
right.
have the Rams are going to be at Tampa Bay as well. So you got some good games. And
Wow.
Leonard Fournette's back for Tom Brady because he has no receiver, so he can check down to Fournette a lot. It should be all these four games. I have no clue who's going to win any of them.
Who are you rooting for? Who's everyone rooting for?
Well, I'm a Packers fan, so that's
Underdogs. Oh,
easy.
really? Yeah, you're from Wisconsin. That's
Yeah.
right. Well, hey, speaking of watching football and the deals are coming back. So I was kind of going through the deals a little bit and I'm seeing where things are going. And already, for example, if you're looking at the Samsung QN900A, it hasn't been back in stock ever since the end of the year. So I'm wondering if it's really sold out. They're just waiting to bring it back. So that's something that I really don't know. But is anyone
The
waiting for
900A, is that what you
the
said?
900A, the 8K? Yeah, the
Yeah,
8K
I
is
haven't
great.
seen it since either. You're
Out
right.
of stock for a while. But if it gets back in stock, so here are what I think the deals will be before Prime Day. So Prime Day it'll be even better. But I think between now and Prime Day, these are what I'll call target deals, right? Not so much that it's happening now. It may be, but between now and let's say the release or the launch of the 2022 TVs, you're going to see prices creeping down in this direction. And below this price for sure, I believe it's a pretty good deal because if you wait to go any further, most likely it'll be out of stock. And so that's why I'm putting these as the prices in the sense that if you're close to this price, it's a pretty good deal. If you're waiting for it to get even lower, you might not make it because if it's out of inventory, now you're into 2022 and you can do the whole cycle again. What is your strategy when you're waiting out deals? Like, do you really wait or you jump in when you see it's a good deal?
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, before before I did YouTube, I would normally hit up Best Buy and look for open box deals. So I would be like searching and trying to find good open box deals.
Right.
I wasn't in these price ranges for a lot of these TVs. I would be looking for something under $1,000. So there's a
Well,
lot of good TVs. I tried to help a friend who was looking to get a TV at Costco, and man, that is a minefield. When you start
it
looking at
is.
all the $1,000 or less TVs at Costco or 1,500 or less at the big screen level, you are talking about a lot of TVs in that 6.9 to 7.9 range on ratings.com, where you then
You
also have to convince people that high sense may be better for the money, but it's
right,
tough
right,
because they don't want to listen, and they
right,
hear Samsung and they hear LG Nano and they think those are the best TVs
right.
possible, and so it's really tough.
So you mentioned the $1,000 mark. So let's start because I think I cut it off at 65-inch as a size, and I also cut it off at well 1,000 or less, but really 600. So if you guys are looking for the best bang for the buck at the 65-inch, the TCL 5 series and the Hisense U7G will beat anything at Costco for that price. easily because these two TVs are such good performers for the price. If you can get it at this price, I think it's so solid. The LG Nano series is a huge disappointment to me. It's consistently dimmer, right, than the competition. So I think dollar to dollar, I'd normally go with the Samsung for the same price, same size, and the LG because I think it'll get more pop. But then if you have the Hisense U7G or 5 series available to you at under 1,000, I'd go with those. Of course, a step up is the U8G and 6 series, giving you extra brightness, extra punch for that extra $100 or two. So these are kind of target deals for them as well. Then you may find them maybe $100 more. But here's the thing, and it happened last year. If you wait for the Hisense U8G to drop to below 900 or even at 900, it may not last. So just, okay, this is it. We moved on. That was your shot to get it. So that's something to think about as well. I think the minefield for me is just above 1,000, right? The X90J, you guys are already seeing, it's at 1,200 again. 1,200 was the lowest it got last year, I think. Black Friday right before it. So I'm targeting 1100. I'm hoping for the Super Bowl, for all these big sales leading into March, that they drop to 1100. I think that would be phenomenal. The Samsung QN85A, this one is tricky because when there's a good deal, it will drop to 1300 or more or 14, but around 13, 14, 12, right? That's my target for the QN85A. That is a bright, punchy TV at that price. And if you wait for it to go below 1200, I don't know if it will last through the end of spring. So that's something that I'm kind of targeting. Like, speaking of the QN90A, did you get a chance to look at it again?
Yeah, no, I did the unboxing and I compared it to the A90J. And it's hard for me. I really I really love the A90J. So, that's the starting point. OLED is fantastic, but the 85-inch QN90A didn't have too bad of dirty screen effect. And, it was noticeable. So for me, I might still be like, oh, it's annoying me. Like, it's not a very clean, it's not perfectly clean panel, but I think most people wouldn't notice. And for 3,700 versus 6,000,
Right.
I'd have to say that the Samsung performed quite well in the comparison. So if you have a chance, check out that video. I think a lot of people have interest in these larger TVs right now. So it's a pretty popular video to start. But,
Right.
I'm glad I got a second chance at it. I'm glad I got a chance at the 85-inch. And I'd be just fine with it in the living room overall. I could deal with that. I'd probably just have to bite my tongue on the dirty screen because I think I'm probably the only person that noticed it in my family. But it's really a great LCD based TV. I mean, it really is,
Yeah. I think this is a good question. Solidarity is asking the Sony X85J, $800. Is it worth it? For me, the 85J, you're paying a little extra for 120 hertz, and it's not really a gaming TV. So a Sony TV X85J where it has no dimming zones, it's good for SDR. But then I'd say, well, why don't you go to the X80J? But the problem is the X80J is an IPS panel at the 65 inch. So Sony kind of below $1,000, I would go with the U7G before I'd go with the X85 at 65 inches at 800. It just doesn't feel like I'm getting my value. But Sony has their colors out of the box and so forth. But I know that Classy looked at the X85 and he didn't like the colors at all. He was like surprised out of the box. It wasn't that great. So that being the case, I'd recommend you look at the Hisense U7G for a little less, and you're getting 120 hertz better motion with the 120 hertz native panel. But I think it's the brightness for me. For the similar price, the U7G will get you brighter. It's also a VA panel than the X85J. So the 2021 models, other than the X80J at the 50 inch, I'd start with the X90J at the 65 inch size. And you're going to find that Sony X90J may drop even under 1,000 by the time Prime Day rolls along. So hold off because I think the X90J is worth what they're charging at 1,000 rather than the X85 save a couple of hundred. But what are your thoughts on their discount or the Sony budget TVs? Have you had a chance to see any of those yet?
I definitely I understand people with the X85J. you know, 3 years ago or 4 years ago when we didn't have the local dimming zones or whatever, you know, like I would have been all over that TV. I don't think I noticed the contrast difference on my Samsung that had that, and everyone's like, "Oh, you'd notice it now." I do notice on like the KS8000 now it's not, you know, it doesn't have the contrast that the other
Right.
TVs have. But I mean, that is a VA panel, you said, because if it's a VA panel, I'm more
It is.
for it, you
It
know.
is.
But yeah, I like that at the 85-inch because of the price point. Like,
Because of the price point, yeah.
yeah, I like it at the 85-inch, but then I'm sure the edge, you know, the edge lid or backlit is probably not quite as good. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, you make a good point, and you know, it's
I mean,
a crapshoot. As you said, the U7G is an IPS as well.
75-inch is. The
The
U7G is
seven,
20. So this is the thing that
it's like backwards,
these
then, right?
the
It's the opposite,
manufacturers are all over the place, right?
right?
In the X80J, everything is an IPS panel except for the 50-inch. That's why I loved it so much. But then on the X85J, everything is VA. But then on the U7G Hisense, only the 75-inch is IPS. But they don't really tell you that. You kind of have to figure it out when you get
And
it.
then
You're like,
the
hey,
Samsung QN85A, they're all IPS except for the 85, and that's a VA, which is why I think that would be a great TV for a large
that's,
for like Super Bowl.
yep.
If you can get that QN85A at Best Buy or the QN84A at Best Buy before the Super Bowl, if they like put that down at like 2,500 or closer to, you know, something like that, I would be all over it.
And well, so you bring up a point. People already know that. I think it's also sold out still. I
Mm.
okay, yeah, I just checked. I think that's why I didn't see it. But under three. So for everyone who's watching and looking for the Samsung QN85 or 90, if you're waiting for it to drop under 3,000, don't wait for it to drop too much under three. The minute it hits three, it's going to sell out. You're going to see it above three right now. But when it hits three or anywhere below three, like 29.99, you got to jump on it because this thing is going to be out of stock by the end of spring when it does hit that $3,000 mark. I could just see it because there's a lot of people waiting for that for the Samsung, either the Q90A or the Q85A. But I think the sweet spot right now for a lot of people is I'm going to jump to what I think is going to be really good is the 85-inch at just under 2,000. You have the Sony X91J, which is X900H from 2020. The Q70A, I think, is going to drop significantly. I'm shooting for 1900, but it could go even lower. And then, of course, the X85J at 1800. To me, the X85J and the Q70A are very similar, right? They don't have dimming zones, except the Q70A is a better gaming machine, and the larger X85J is going to give you the Sony colors, right? The cinema colors. So, but now speaking of Sony large TV, so we have Tarek who's saying he got the 85-inch X95J, which by the way, I think is way too expensive right now. And he's returning it, waiting for the X95K. The DSC and the grid, the visible gridding is horrible. You see on every bright screen, even in Dolby Vision. So this is something that I want to address. The issue with seeing grids and DSE, it's part of the HDR problem, meaning HDR itself isn't the problem, but when HDR brings out all that brightness, these screens, normally you don't see it. When it's that bright, you're going to start to see it. And suddenly the manufacturer's like, what? If I turn it up, I'm going to see all these issues and flaws. So we as consumers, we demand brighter and brighter, but the manufacturing process, the quality control, the tolerances were meant for SDR. But as you start lifting the brightness, suddenly you're noticing what originally passed for QC is no longer passing QC. So I hate to say, but what's going to happen is prices will start to go up if manufacturers start binning out those bad panels, which before it was okay in SDR. So I'm going to see higher panel prices if consumers demand perfect non-DSC screens, which you should, but you're going to not get it both ways. Less expensive and non-DSC. Because if you take it down a level in terms of brightness and bring it down to under 400 nits, you're unlikely to see some of that gridding or DSC. What are your thoughts on getting it too bright and suddenly it's overexposed? Because I think that's part of the issue.
Yeah, I thought that some of the DSE stuff was from those anti-reflective coating or, you know, the properties from some of that stuff. So I don't, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that's news to me. Obviously, you always provide news to me. I I don't know. I I've always been kind of a stickler for that cleaner panel.
Mm-hmm.
It really shows up in things that are, panning movies and things like that. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that in general, which is why I have a tough time with Samsung. But my OLEDs aren't perfect either. TVs, most TVs have some minor uniformity. So
Yeah,
I think
and we do.
we probably talk about it more than we need to. People just need to go out. I know someone like Dave Whelan, who's in the comments here, has issues. And exactly. So I think the more Dave watches our videos, the more he
It's
has a hard
frozen.
time. If he never met us, he'd probably be perfectly happy with some TV already. So
And well, so David had tried the 85-inch X95J, and he saw the grid even in SGR when the screen wasn't super bright. So maybe it's
yeah.
possible that it's just manufacturing's gone downhill because the X95J is technically the best 4K LCD TV from Sony last year. Here's hoping it gets better this year with the X95K, but you're paying for it, right? Everyone's predicting it's going to be stupid expensive. You have a prediction for the X95K there?
I have no idea. I just don't know what technology will be in it that makes it that expensive. I mean, are you talking about the backlight master drive? Is
Yeah,
that
backlight
why?
master drive, mini LED,
What do
hundreds
you
of
think
dimming
it'll be? You
zones.
think it'll start over 3,000 for a 65-inch?
I think it'll be within $100 of the Samsung QN90B. So if the QN90B is, let's say, 2,300,
Yeah,
then
that
the
won't be bad.
X95K, 2,400, 23,
It's
22
not
is
too
going to
bad.
be
I mean,
fair.
that's typically where a lot of these start. I mean, the LG C10 started at 2699 2 years ago, and people are buying it for 1,800 bucks now. So they always do that.
And here's another viewer who really every year, Michelle Alexandria is like, oh, this TV looks so good. And she may be returning her G1, or 80% sure she'll be returning her G1 for the G2. So she's waiting for Shib. If Shib goes crazy, maybe she can get herself a 98-inch or 97-inch G2, right, Michelle? Right? You're waiting for it to go up?
Man, the
Is that how
crypto
it works?
market's
The
just
crypto.
it's trash right now. Everything's just falling apart.
Yeah.
Bear market.
Well, it comes and goes, right? One day it's up, the next day it's not out of control, right?
Well, we're getting close to numbers that were back at last summer where people thought they'd never get again.
Yeah.
I mean, literally it just keeps dumping. You can look, here is the last 30 days. Look at that. It just
When did that cliff? It fell off a cliff. When was that?
Oh
Last
yeah.
week?
Yeah.
Yesterday?
I mean, no, this is an entire month of cliffs. And that high on that side that's not even very high. That high over there is like not even 50K. So it was at 70K. Now it's down to 34K.
Right.
So it's like the entire crypto market has halved over the last 2 months.
This is a great point by Andy. I'm excited about the A95K as well, but I would say for everyone to wait and see how it is first. This is Sony's first try at a mini LED. It could be bad. So this applies to both the A95K and the X95K, right? So the A95K is Sony's first try at QD OLED, and the X95K is Sony's first try at a mini LED. And it's not just Sony. Anyone who's first try at a brand new technology, it's a crapshoot. I don't know. I hope people aren't disappointed because that X95K with mini LED is the model that people have been waiting for since the X95J. I think people thought the X95J would be mini LED. So this should have been released last year. And as far as QD OLED, I'm excited. But yeah, a lot of people are saying this is going to have first adopter growing pains. So definitely no one should be getting the A95K. Let the reviewers complain about it so you can see whether or not those complaints apply to you. But the X95K, even if people complain, I think it's still going to sell out because the level of nostalgia for the the backlight master drive, how much of those sales will be driven by that brand, backlight master drive? I think a lot of it.
I think it'll be all right. I don't know. Both TVs could be all right. The A95K just be too expensive to take a risk unless you just have stupid money.
Yeah. And so this is how many TVs David has been trying out because we talk about this. Unfortunately, I've tried many models. The
You know,
A-
Before you even say it, Dave, you should have just started a YouTube channel and you could have reviewed all these, man. Like you could have like 50,000
We would have brought
subscribers
you
already.
on, right?
Yeah, you could have. Just, I mean, like, I know Paul, the tech giant, he'll go through the TV and he'll list some of these downsides and show the dirty screen on some of these TVs. Yeah, you could have done a little, Paul, the tech giant situation, and shown us what the issues were on your YouTube channel.
Agreed. Nicholas has a good point here. Sony is the master of processing and picture quality. The mini LED will help blooming. That's Sony's only issue. So here is the other side of it. Now people are afraid maybe Sony will end up crushing it, just like Samsung and TCL are crushing the blacks with their mini LED. The 6 series, the QN90A, the number one complaint is that both these TVs err towards the side of a slight crush to completely eliminate blooming, which slightly brings down the brightness. Now, Sony's already got ahead of that, right? Sony said, no, we are not using dimming to do this. We're going to have this amazing AI matched to the XR chip. We are not going to have those super dark crushing issues. So Sony's already got ahead of that, but it remains to be seen if that is true. And I want to share this. So RL, he's out there looking for prices. I'm not sure how reliable it is, but if it's out of China, it's on the internet, I'll run with it. X95K is rumored $3,000 for the 65-inch. Okay, if this is US dollars, this is $500 more than I expected. So, but let's say, for the sake of argument, let's just say this is true. $3,000 for the X95K backlight master drive, 65-inch, $4,000 for the 75-inch, and $5,500 for the 85-inch. $5,500 is currently what they're charging the QN900A 8K, right? It's around there, and that's sold out, by the way. And $4,000 for the 75-inch, which is about, isn't this where we are with the 4,000 77-inch LG G1? 4,800 gets you the 83-inch LG C1. So we're talking stupid expensive. Again, this is out of China, so we're gonna have fun with this. And 5,500 for 85-inch. Okay, Brandon, when you see this, and let's just say this is the launch price, what are your thoughts?
Oh, the price. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't surprise me. Like, I mean, if the TV's massively improved over the X95J, I mean, if it's thinner, if it has, the dimming zone alone, if the dimming zones
Sure.
count are more than this 36 or what was it on the other one? How many dimming zones was
60.
it? 60 dimming zones. So,
It's
I mean, come on, give me 500 or 300 or whatever it is. That should help. If Sony can do, similar work with their algorithm, I don't. Do you have a dimming zone count or an estimate?
The estimate. Okay, so we're being told it's somewhere between 200 and 300. That allows them to say hundreds.
That's not too bad.
Which
I mean,
is all
like,
you need, right?
that's 200 or 300 is significantly more than 60, but it's not 700, 800 to 1,000 where you're really concerned about that. The loss of shadow detail or suppressing highlights. Maybe Sony, like they have done on these, will be a little less aggressive with that. And maybe the algorithm will be a little bit more fluid and you may see a little blooming, but it just will be significantly better than the last TV. And then the backlight master drive and all that. So it could be worth it. If it's $3,000 to start, I guarantee it'll still get down to $2,000 at some point. So it's not too big a deal.
Now, the big deal though is context, competition. We know the QN90B will not be more expensive than QN90A because it's literally the same TV with improved processing. So if the QN90B comes out at 2,400, and we know that TCL 8 series will have 1,000 dimming zones at the 65-inch. So the TCL 8 series will have 1,000 dimming zones. The Samsung QN90B will have the same 800 dimming zones. And of course, the X95K, hundreds. So let's say less than 500 dimming zones, right? But it is priced exactly as a Master Series, but not called a Master Series. So given the competition, would you choose the Sony X95K over the Samsung QN90B for 500 more?
I have no idea. I mean, I would do it if it's a better TV. I would do it. I mean, it's tough. I
How much
don't know.
better can
I
it
think
get,
they're going to be
right?
both right. They're both going to be good. So
They're both gonna,
it,
that's the thing. They're both going
you,
to be good.
you'd have to go into like the store and be like, that X95K is like just blowing your mind, to like pay that money.
But everyone,
Television, I don't know, tough.
throw in your guesses, right? Is this, so this is out of China. Now, anything's possible. What do you guys think? At the 65-inch, is it 3,000? 20? I was guessing 2,500 personally. And 3,000, I would assume it would be labeled a master series for that much, by the way. So I'm kind of surprised that I'm not surprised at the 3,000. I'm surprised that if it is 3,000, it isn't called a master series. But then again, they gave you the master series remote. So maybe they're treating it like a master series, because for that price, you better get the best remote Sony has, which you are getting. All right, let's get to our first super chat. Hey, thank you, Sonic Blue, for that. Is that Swiss? You said that was Swiss, right? CHF?
It was a Swiss franc.
Right? Yeah. Do you know if motion is improved on QD OLED compared to WOLED? The A95K has XR OLED motion, while it's called XR motion clarity in the A90J. So we're being told by Samsung Display that these panels are designed and engineered to handle 144 hertz motion. It's up to the TV maker, whether it's Asus, Samsung, Dell, or Sony, who have access to these QD OLED panels to process up to 144 hertz. But keep this in mind. Just because it can do 144 hertz doesn't mean your motion will be better. It just is up to the processing, because the 144 hertz really directly affects gamers who would like to get that extra headroom for their motion, right? Up to 140 frame rates or something like that. But for cinema watching, it doesn't necessarily improve your anti-stutter or your soap opera artifacts. We really won't know until we get the TVs in, because it's really up to the processor to take advantage of the full 144 frequency space, right? But if they treat it like a 120, then it'll just be rated as a 120 because they're not taking advantage of that headroom. So that's a good question. I don't know if XR motion clarity is technically different than XR OLED motion, but it sounds like they're labeling it differently. So maybe they are taking advantage of the 144. We'll find out when we get it, because we haven't received the actual specs for that native refresh rate yet. I don't believe. I do know it's capable of 144, but we don't know if Sony's going to take advantage of that. So good question. On up. Hey, Roland, thanks for that super chat. You got yourself an 85-inch X95J for 3,500. I think that's the current price now. So, yep. Should I return it for the 85-inch X90K? My understanding is the X90K is going to be very similar to the X95J, still with the XR processor. I don't know that you will be upgrading anything really. Gaming is not necessarily going to be any better. So I'd say if you're going to return it not because you're going to get the X90K, but wait for the X95J to drop to under 3,000. Because once the X90K is released and the X95K is released, that 3,500 price will drop closer to 3,000. And that's where my target is for the X95J by Prime Day is as well. Because it was released so late in the year, come back on Prime Day and get the X95J, and you'll get the best price possible for it. So yeah, but tell us, how are you enjoying it, Roland? Is it a good TV? Because
That's what I was going to say.
Right? If you
I was
love
going to say,
you got to
do you
risk
like
a lot
the
of
TV?
material.
Why are you trying to return it? Like, why do you want to return it? If you
Right.
enjoy the TV, there's no reason to return it. If you have an issue with it, possibly, but it's you're splitting hairs there. So what are you going to do for the next few months? You're not going to have a TV. Also, real quick, if everyone can hit the like button real quick. Appreciate the 43 likes, but 175 watching. I'm sure there'll be more yet to come. If y'all can hit the like button, pop it up over 100 real quick. That'll
please do
trigger it to go out to some of the other people that normally join these chats and can give you guys some advice and info. So go ahead and
that's such a good point. I think I need to click like too. I didn't click like. It's terrible.
I appreciate it. Just take a real quick second. I am not in deep thought. I am just chilling. Nick,
I am too.
Nick Jarrett said, looks like I'm in deep thought, but no. we had a
meditating
rough loss on our football team last night.
No. Tell them what your son said to you when you guys lost last week. I thought it was the funniest comment.
It got worse last night.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
He said, call good. My son said, call a good play instead
You're
of.
like,
I'm like, seriously, dude. But this week we had a good game. He had an interception. He had a touchdown pass. He had a touchdown catch. But then we melted down in the fourth quarter. One of the quarterbacks threw a pick six to lose the game. So
yeah.
we had the ball and the lead, or we had a tie game with the ball in the fourth quarter, and we threw a pick six on our own goal line. So that was not good.
Right.
Anyways.
And Ralph, as others have said, if you have, oh, do I have an echo? Oh, it's my
No.
anti. Oh, okay. If your 85 X95J looks good to you right now, there is no DSC that you notice. There is no the grid. Switching to the X90K may introduce those things because you won the panel lottery once. Doesn't mean you'll win again. So make sure you understand that. Not that the $3,500 discount later wouldn't be great, but is it worth the risk? That's something that a lot of people need to remind you as well. So yeah, something you have to think about for sure. Right. Yeah, I think so too. The larger, the 85-inch has more dimming zones, and a lot of people like the larger 85-inch on both the QN900 and 90 because you're getting that many more dimming zones on the larger sizes. So it feels like maybe there's a bit better control of the blooming and so forth.
Here, I want to click on one here. This one right here. The A90J has so much stuttering. The movements are not smooth. Why is it good in your test? In my eyes, it's an awful TV. That's not true.
Okay. So
that TV is fantastic, and all OLEDs have stuttering. It's the speed at which it refreshes and its response time. It has an instant response time. So it's each time it refreshes, its image is disappearing and coming back and disappearing and coming back. Where LCD based TVs, there is more like ghosting, which looks natural in cinema, but you can set the OLEDs to have some smoothing in their motion, and so you don't see that. But all OLED TVs have that. I mean, go ahead. You get totally
no. You bring up a good point when you said settings, Patrick. What's your settings, right? If you have the recommended settings that most of us use who don't like stuttering, so I, like you, hate stuttering. So my setting is I have the cinema motion on, and the motion flow I have at a 1 or 2. At that point, the soap opera effect is still tolerable. It's a touch there, but I don't notice it very much, and there is no stuttering. If I turn it off completely, motion flow to 0, yeah, there's stuttering, but I don't do that for me. But no TV eliminates stuttering with their processing off. C1, C2, G1, it doesn't matter. If you turn it off completely, you will get stuttering. The question is, how much of that soap opera is visible if you add 1, 2, or 3. And for me, the Sony has that best compromise between soap opera and no stuttering, whereas the LG and the Samsung, a little bit too much soap, but when you take it down, there's a touch of stuttering. They don't have that in between that Sony has. So yeah, share with us what your settings were, and maybe you are sensitive to the Sony stuttering more than others. But if you are, I can't imagine that LG or Samsung is better because they stutter even worse, in my opinion. So
it's funny too. I've watched a couple movies in the theater, and people don't realize when you watch them in a theater at the 24 frames per second how much stuttering there is in the movies, but people deal with it. The creator's intent. You're in a movie theater, and that's what they want it to look like. And I see it, and I'm like, chop, chop, chop. It's a little choppy in the movie theaters, but people complain when it's at their house.
Oh, look, we got more Chinese rumors on the X95K backlight master drive. I get so excited. Okay, so again, we're gonna have to take this with a grain of salt, but what else we have, right? So for everyone watching, these aren't official. It's from China, but I'll take it because the last year, the rumors out of China for the A90J were spot on. And so, you know what? Past history is not a guarantee of future performance, but we'll take it just for fun. 2200 nits, 65-inch, 384 zones. So 384 zones is actually pretty good. I think it's enough. It doesn't need to be more than that. As far as if you have good processing, this is enough, in my opinion, because any more, it's diminishing returns and you're really raising the cost of the TV. Well, Sony did not having more, they raised the cost significantly. The 2200 nits, though, that is significantly more than the QN90A. Now, this 2200 nits, we have to see in real content. Can it carry 2200 nits? Because I know the QN90A, although 1600 nits in many measures, it is not going to hit 1600 nits in real content. So Sony is known to kind of push that as well. If it's real content, it's 2000 nits though. I'd say that'd probably be the brightest TV you're going to get. Well, we'll see how Hisense does because they're known to be bright too, but that's excellent. That is very bright if you're getting about 2000 nits, and it's going to be noticeably bright. So this is exciting. I'm very excited about these specs.
Someone asked me if my son is in high school football. No, it's just he's only 11. My son's 11, and
he's only 11. Call better
jumping over
plays,
people.
Dad. He's only 11.
Call better plays.
You're like,
I had to throw him out of the game. We were on fourth down. We had a 4th and 15, and he tried to run for it as a quarterback, and I was screaming at him to throw the ball because it was 4th down, and he got run out of bounds 10 yards short of the first down on 4th down, and I'm like, come on. But you know what? He's 11, man. He's learning. He's just got to learn to respect his coaches after the fact.
Absolutely, absolutely. Bench the boy. That's right.
Well, he got benched and he got thrown out of the game. So,
and his dad is the coach,
and he's grounded this weekend. So you can tell how bad it was.
You know, life lessons, man. Those are what do they call it? Coaching moments, right?
Yep.
Let's see here. Good morning to you. Hey, did you get your ISF too? We saw Kasi get his ISF, right? Didn't Magician take the same test at the same time?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I haven't been around YouTube much. I did that video, been really busy this week, so I haven't seen a lot of stuff here. So,
hey, News Old, great question. Never. So ever since the C9, OLEDs have been steadily going downhill in brightness, mostly to control burn-in and all that stuff. The only time it will get brighter is with a heat sink. So without a heat sink, I don't believe it will get brighter. Even the G1 last year, technically not brighter than the 9 generation, right? The 9 series generation from LG, because the C9 back then, they just let it run. But they pulled it back in subsequent models to make sure they controlled for burn-in. So with a heatsink, though, they're letting it run again. So with a G2, yes, definitely brighter, but noticeably brighter, probably in the bright scenes where you have the bright highlights on top of the bright scenes. Your C9 cannot do that because it has more aggressive ABL. And with a heatsink, the ABL will be less aggressive, and that's when it gets brighter. But it's a great question. My opinion, get a bigger OLED. Don't replace your C9 for the same size. You're going to be disappointed. Okay, let's see here.
People are more concerned about my son and his athletics. They said, this is a funny comment. He goes, I didn't realize that you're the dad of Dak Prescott. That's pretty funny.
and I wonder how Dak Prescott was in junior high, right?
Man, all these kids were like, listen, my son is an incredible athlete for his age. And everybody, like last night at the game, guys that I coach, my younger son too, all of his coaches were like, oh my God, I haven't seen your son Aiden in 2 months. He's like 3 inches taller. And it's like, he's just growing like a weed. And he's only 11, dude. 11, he wears size 9 shoes and he's 5 feet tall. So he's got some room to grow.
Absolutely. Hey, congratulations. He did get it. And so now we can say you're going to get an official calibrator. Between him and Classy, all your answers will be answered. All your questions will be answered. So congratulations, buddy.
Nice. Good work, man.
Hey, Vamps, thank you for that super chat. Question: why does it seem monitor team and TV teams, electronics seem so off base? Monitor teams has low latency and HDR working, G9 Neo 2022, and it has all these zones and so forth. So yes, here's why.
This is a good moment for me to take a break because I know nothing about that. So I'll be right back.
Okay.
Sorry.
The monitors are not handled by Samsung. put this up. So here we go. All right, there we go. So with Samsung Display directly handles the monitors, which is a little different than Samsung Electronics. Samsung Electronics is kind of like the household division. They handle the TV specs, and the two don't necessarily talk. One has very specific objectives, and so that's what you're seeing is this difference, right? So Samsung Display is designing the monitors and kind of putting that out there, whereas Samsung Electronics, they're doing whatever can sell TVs or whatever can sell Tizen, right? They're selling the Tizen experience because they're making money off of Tizen. Very different objectives. Good questions. And yeah, I wish the TV team would talk to the monitor team and see, hey, how can I get my performance to this level? But remember, the TV team has other things to worry about, I guess, like Dolby Vision or whatnot. Well, no, not Dolby Vision for Samsung, but other things to sell a TV. Slightly different market objectives for sure. Hey, thanks for the super chat. There we go. Or here we go. Hi, 77A80J should be best option to choose. Is there anything similar picture quality from the LCD family? 75-inch X95J? Okay, so the answer is no. OLED and LCDs have very different picture qualities because it's different use cases. At its worst, the OLEDs can look a little dim in a super bright room, but then at its best, in a super dark room, an LCD TV will look like it has lifted blacks or crushed blacks, or you're going to have blooming, right? So you have to ask yourself, what is your viewing condition? What is your room? In a brighter room, watching an LCD TV looks very similar to the OLED. So I'd go with LCD if my room is super bright because I can punch up the brightness and not worry about it. But in a dark room, where you want to see the deep blacks and the shadow detail near black and nothing is crushed, you have to go OLED to get there. So share with us what your viewing conditions are. And if you want anti-glare, you almost have to go with something like an LCD that has anti-glare. The A80J does not have the anti-glare coating that the X95J has. So something to think about if glare is on your TV. Yeah, a lot of disappointment from a lot of reviewers. I think they rushed it to market for sure. Let's check them guys here. Here we go. Let's pull this back up now. Let's talk about those prices again. Oh, that's too small. Here we go. Okay, so if you guys just joined us, what to look for? I put in bold. I'm very excited to see the 85 inches drop during football Super Bowl week the next month or two. I think you're going to get pretty good deals on the Sony X91J, which is essentially the 2020 model X900H, and the Samsung Q70 or Q80 will be dropping to, I believe, below 2000, maybe further down. And the Sony X85J 1800 is not bad. Can it go down further? Absolutely. These are my price points where you can pull the trigger and feel comfortable that you're getting a pretty good deal. If it drops a lot lower, you can always make a price adjustment if you get it from to that Costco or Best Buy, right? You can always call and say, hey, look, what happened? I think the Samsung QN85A, this is a weird model because every time there's a discount, we're talking huge discounts. But when Best Buy has the discount, it's always gift cards. So make sure you keep that in mind. If you're planning to buy at Best Buy anyway, then the gift cards work. You can use it for other things, but Best Buy is very aggressive with its gift cards when it comes to the Samsung QN85A. So also keep in mind that model, whether it's the 85 or the 75 inch, the QN85 and the 65 inch. The QN85A, I believe, will have the most discounts across all of Samsung's models, thanks to Best Buy's aggressive discounting with gift cards. So I'm definitely looking for that.
You know that the QN85A at the 85 inch is in stock too at Best Buy, and the QN84A is at 75. Is a 75 inch the VA
Only.
or?
It's a VA. A lot of people complain that they feel that maybe it's cut rate parts. Even though the image quality is identical, they feel that there were a lot of parts cut out to make it a few $100s cheaper. Specifically, the plastic may feel a little bit cheaper. For sure, it has worse audio. But again, for a few $100s, in addition to the Best Buy discounts, you're probably saving $200 to $300 compared to the QN85A. If it's the same price,
It's only $50 less right now.
Oh, then don't do that. Yeah, wait for it to really drop. Like the QN80.
Yeah, $26.99 for the 75
Yeah,
for the QN85, and the
no.
QN84A is $26.50. So it's like literally $50 less.
At its best, I think Black Friday, right after Black Friday, it was down to 1,600.
For
At
real?
16, yes.
Damn, that
It
was a
was
deal.
maybe for like it was a gift card deal, right? So the actual price was 2,100, and then they added another 600 in gift cards, and it dropped to 1,600. I was like, okay. So how Best Buy did it was they're only allowed to discount it to whatever 2,000, whatever all the retailers, but then the retailers could then throw in their own gift cards. So they swallow and subsidize the additional deal. And that's what Best Buy did. So look for the QN84A. If you're okay with the slightly cut rate parts, right? But the image quality is identical.
Hey, make sure you hit the like button real quick. We only have
Yes.
93 likes. I know everyone's like, someone else will do it. But if you haven't hit it, just do it real quick. Really appreciate it. Take you literally 2 seconds, hit the like button, come back, keep chatting.
And I even have a banner for that. Look at that. All right. Hey, Nicholas, thanks for the follow-up. Do you think Samsung will ever get Dolby Vision? No. The fact that Samsung went to LG and bought OLEDs from LG and selling OLEDs before Dolby Vision, what does that tell us? And LG is their lifelong rival. Dolby Vision, it's just a license, right? No. So will the QN90B have better blooming control? Does DV really matter with Samsung? It does not. And it's not just Samsung. Classy and I have looked at Netflix streaming with Dolby Vision. On the Sony, it looks terrible. We turn off Dolby Vision and use just straight up HDR with Netflix, and it looks better. So Samsung is onto something at the flagship level, whether it's Sony or Samsung, it doesn't matter. Dolby Vision doesn't make a huge difference. It's just slightly different. Maybe the color tone maybe is different, but it does, for me, it doesn't make my decision any worse knowing that Samsung does not have Dolby Vision on its flagship TVs. Now, maybe on the mid-tier TVs, it may make a difference, but I don't think it's a deal breaker. Unfortunately, for branding and marketing purposes, it is for many people. I see it all the time. Well, until Samsung has Dolby Vision, I'm going to skip it and go to LG or Sony, which is fine, right? Peace of mind, but I don't think it makes a huge difference. Well, Ninjishin is on. Ninjishin, what do you think? Do you think Samsung's refusal to apply Dolby Vision does it matter on their high-end sets? I say no. So it'll be interesting to hear that.
It
What are
will
your
be
thoughts?
interesting to hear his answer because it'll be completely different than mine because he's technical. But I think it absolutely does not matter when you're watching like HDR movies. I watch all those movies, I watch a lot of movies. It's impressive. The HDR is impressive on it. But, he has, yeah, there you go. He's got an answer for you.
Yeah. And Mark, you have a question. You're a fan. Did you click like? But I'll answer your question. When will OLED WOLED QLED be bright enough for bright living rooms? The answer is if you have glare, never. OLED, the issue is it's bright. Peak specular highlights is great, but if the TV needs to get bright and brighter, you need to raise the average picture level to cut through the brightness. OLED's not designed for that. You're asking OLED to do something that it just cannot do. You're pushing it beyond what its design tolerances are. Don't do that, right? It's like saying, will a projector TV or a projector ever get bright enough in a bright room? Nope. If you're in a bright room, just go with LCD and deal with it, or control the brightness and get an OLED, because the OLED also won't look great in a bright room. The LCD will look brighter. And an OLED in a bright room where the blacks are at strength, well, you're not going to see the blacks, right? Everything will look black. Dark gray will look black in a bright room. So what do you need an OLED for, right? So just keep that in mind. It's like asking a sports car to carry like an SUV. Get the SUV. Okay, here we go. Corey can't decide. QD OLED is going to be sold this year either by Samsung or Sony. And here's my prediction. Samsung is going to push its QD OLED super hard to make it super bright so they can separate themselves from Sony, because they know Sony will kill it in the color accuracy or motion or whatever it is that Sony does for cinema. Then Samsung's going to go the complete other way. They're going to make it punchy. They want to put it on display and show off that they're brighter than Sony. it will look near vivid, but because it could get pretty accurate, thanks to the nature of QD-OLED, I think Samsung's going to take that risk. We're going to see that Q9FN type richness and brightness back. And I'd say for most consumers, that might be the game changer. And Sony's going to stick with what it does. It's very stubborn about being color accurate. So even Sony OLEDs, even the A90J is a little bit dimmer than other heatsink OLEDs like Panasonic, and the G2 I think is going to be brighter than Sony. Sony just doesn't like to do things too bright on its OLED. So maybe it's making up the difference this year with the X95K pushing it above 2000 nits. Yep, that's my point, Nicholas. I completely agree. H9G looks horrible with Netflix Dolby Vision. I can't even turn it off on the Hisense, right? Because it's a native app, right? But when I use my Roku stick with HDR, it looks better. That's been my recommendation for everyone. I go, look, it's not Dolby Vision per se. It's streaming Dolby Vision. Streaming Dolby Vision, who knows what they're doing, right? Dolby Vision on disc is pretty consistent, but streaming Dolby Vision is all over the place. It changes from content to content within Netflix. Some are great, some are horrible.
This is a good one here, if I can do it real quick. I absolutely agree with this. Much more impressed with Avengers and just Disney Plus in general on IMAX Enhanced than anything in Dolby Vision. I was messing around with it last night. Man, IMAX Enhanced looked amazing. Full screen too.
Yes.
I loved it. And then I had to compare because I was trying to show widescreen, so I had to take it out of IMAX Enhanced, and I was like, man, this is not as fun. But you know, that's another thing. Like if you're a Samsung guy, right? Or you want to get an LCD based TV. And then you're like, okay, well, then it's widescreen that sucks. Well, now IMAX Enhanced eliminates that need because it's full screen, and then you don't really have to worry about the wide bars, and it's, you know, it's all good.
Exactly. No, this is such a good point. The biggest weakness of some of these value-oriented TVs like the Hisense H9G or the TCL 6 series is when you adjust for accuracy, the black bars start to rise in their, lifted blacks and blooming. Well, you go IMAX Enhanced, the black bar is almost gone because in full field, these are incredible TVs. It's the black bars is where Samsung Premium makes a big difference. And this goes to what we always say, size is more important than the little minor things like Dolby Vision. If you pay a little extra for Dolby Vision or you pay a little extra for size, everything else being equal, I'd always go with size. But a lot of people, they're just so caught up in these specs. You know what's ironic though is imagine if Dolby Vision, like Dolby Labs, if they chased the enhanced large screen before IMAX did and they called it Dolby Enhanced, people would choose that, and maybe Samsung would have adopted enhanced from Dolby and to say, hey, you know what, this is great. I want to do this all the time with all my content, right? More rumors. So the Z9K is a true master series with backlight master drive. 8K TV, of course. Even crazier, Z9K, 3200 nits, $15,000 for the 75-inch, $30,000 for the 85-inch, 9,000 zones. That's like an OLED type TV, micro LED type TV, right? Okay.
Is he just putting these out here until we don't believe him, or are these real? No, I'm kidding.
You know what? This is so good, right? I think the $3,000 X95K is believable. 15,000 75-inch. You know what's at $15,000 right now from Sony? That X92 100-inch TV. 100-inch, I would go with a 100-inch X92J for the same price because the extra 25 inches, I don't care if it has 5,000 zones. That size in a bright room, it may not get as bright as 3,000 nits, but 75 inches, man.
That TV's nice, man.
And it's 8K though, and I see why they did this.
Yeah, but that 100-inch, I'm telling you, looks pretty nice. I've seen it.
I'm gonna let it marinate here so everyone can see this. Z9K, because a lot of people were wondering if they should upgrade their Z9J to the Z9K, and my response is no. And now with these prices, definitely not, because the Z9J was under 10 grand for all their models. Now you're literally doubling, more than doubling in some cases. Right here, the 85-inch is 30 grand. That's 3 times more than what. But again, you're getting way more zones. I believe the Z9J had 600 dimming. I mean, definitely less than 700 dimming zones, right? And it's not mini LED. So this may be the. So this is so. A lot of you are asked, what if Sony cost no object? What if they made the best possible LCD TV? Now, your dreams, your questions, your wishes have been granted. This is what happens when Sony does it. Now you're going to complain about the price. You guys can't have it both ways. You can't ask for the best and pay the least, right? So, assuming this is right, and we're going to hold you to this, IRL, I can't wait for the rumors to be confirmed or not. That's great, though. That's great. I love that.
You know what? I am relaxed this weekend. I don't know about you. How you feeling about this weekend? Did you get all your work done? Are you just like ready to chill?
Dude, so
you never quit though. You never quit. You just keep going.
Yesterday was my slow day. I really did get to relax, and but I'm behind now because I relaxed. So I have to do a shoot today, and I have a couple of reviews I have to finish. Kaleidoscape. What?
Where's your twin brother that helps you with this? Are you like? Have you seen the movie The Prestige? Do you have like a clone?
Oh, is that the one with Ed Norton? Or
no, The Prestige is the one with Wolverine. What's his name?
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman and
yes,
I forget names. I'm terrible with names.
I am too.
Batman. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. Michael Keaton?
No, not Michael Keaton. The newer, the younger Batman, the new kid. Michael Keaton is my Batman, but like other people, the younger kids, they're Batman.
Christian Bale.
There you go. That's like. I mean, I have to admit, the best Batman movie is still Dark Knight, but still.
Hey, Patrick, now that you saw the prices, I don't know if the X95K is for you. You sure you want to hold off for a $5,500 TV if the rumors are to be believed? X95J at under $3,500 is fine. And no, I'm not sure. If you're waiting for 85-inch, the X95K is going to have a premium. Let's wait and see what the prices are before you're dreaming of the X95K. It appears that backlight master drive and mini LED is a lot more expensive than people realize. So tell us your budget. Maybe we'll be able to help you. So this is the budget.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. What?
No. I was going to go to the next comment after this.
Go. Shoot.
It was just talking about that whole the rumors of the costs of the backlight master drive 8K, just like the Z9K, the prices just seem ridiculous. Just because, but it's a combination 8K backlight master drive, all this, you never know. Who knows? I just thought it was funny.
And the number of dimming zones.
For the first 9,000. Come on, man.
For the first time, Sony not just matched Samsung, but so far exceeded Samsung that no one could have envisioned. So the question is, where is Sony sourcing these mini LED panels? Because Samsung has the same sources. Sony has clearly found a supplier willing to do what it needs to be done. And that kind of puts Samsung on notice. Either Samsung was unwilling to source that same panel, or Sony has a special projects team that worked with either TCL or AUO. So I'm very impressed. Just the engineering alone to do that. And that's why it's so expensive. They cannot sell it to anyone else. They didn't just,
And here's the thing. If they can do it with 9,000, that's why I'm not too concerned about 300 or 500. Because I feel like, yes, it is their first go at mini LED and all this, but if they're working on 9,000 dimming zones for a TV, their engineers got to be like, we can do this 300. They've probably been sitting with these 60 being bored for a couple of years, being like, we got to get 900 dimming zones. They probably already know how to do it. So
before we jump on to the super chats, and I see you guys, we're going to jump on it right next. Ninjician has a great point. All hail the 97-inch LG G2. I'm very excited about this TV, not just because it's 97 inches, but it's a heatsink on a 97-inch. And as we all know, the larger the TV gets, the brighter the perceived brightness for the same luminance, right? So if whatever the G2 nits are at 55 or 65 inches, at 97 inches, it looks so bright, and it has a heatsink. And who needs an ultra short throw projector if you're at 100-inch? So my question for you, Mr. Installer, can you put a 97-inch on one of those mobile TV stands? Is there one out there that can handle 97-inch, or
I
does
don't
it
think
have
so.
to go on a wall? Is this just way too
Dude,
big?
I think it would tip one of those over. Not because of the weight. The weight isn't the problem on these
It's just
things. It's like just like the 85-inch Samsung that they have on they have it that nice metal thing, the stand. It's 5 inches off the ground, and that stand is a foot wide. They're just so awkward. The
yeah,
awkwardness. So when you put that even on like a Visa mount, that
right.
97-inch will just, when you try to pull it around, it's going to wobble so much. It's going to feel so uncomfortable. So
And
I would
it's
recommend put that sucker on the wall and don't touch it. Put it on that, hopefully this LG mount, which I plan on having that 97-inch in here one way or the other, and I will have it on the wall, and I'll give everyone a good look at that. But I'm hoping that the mount is better, because I don't feel comfortable with that current LG mount where it's just the mount was only like 3 inches tall. So you had to do 2 bolts on each stud, 3 inches apart. And then you're going to leverage 100-pound TV like that on it. Not and in
right.
97-inch. So
Yeah.
that TV mount needs to be bigger. I'm sure it will be. I'm excited to see. But you're right about that. That TV is going to look like a world beater. It's going to
But
be
you know
great.
what? You mentioned something about the weight. So 100 pounds is what the A90J is at, right? A little over 100 pounds. Remember what Robert said. This one will be closer to 60 pounds. Does
I
that
mean,
make
if
it
it's
better?
60 pounds for a 97, that's crazy.
That
That's
is
like
crazy.
paper thin.
That
And that's
it is.
great.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you take a 97-inch and you put it at 100 pounds, it's still going to have it's still going to leverage a mount similarly.
Right.
So if you
Okay.
pull that off the wall, then you're like cranking on that mount, or that it's
Right.
because it's so skinny and so long,
Mm-hmm.
it'll wobble more, and it'll have it'll kind of pull on that mount differently than 100 pounds. That's in a smaller package. Cause like when you had that Panasonic,
Right.
plasma or whatever, and they were
Mhm.
100 pounds, but it was
Oh,
only a
for
42-inch
for
TV.
55
Yeah.
inch, right?
Those TVs wouldn't stress the mount out as much because it's a small TV. So you just can whip it around even though it's 100
Right.
pounds. But you
Okay.
get that 85-inch Samsung or 100-inch LG. Now you lever it, and it stresses the TV out too.
So
You
let
got
me
to be
ask you
careful.
that. So we know the mantle mount, right? That's a very popular
Yeah.
option. Would it be appropriate for the 97-inch, you think, or
No.
it's just stick it on the wall, right?
You couldn't. I mean, it defeats the purpose. I mean, you
Right.
can, but I don't think anyone has a fireplace of that size to put it over. I mean, someone that listen, I know from the experience, if you have room for a 97-inch
It's not on a
TV above your
fireplace.
fireplace, then you are the kind of person that is like looking at the micro LED. Trust me.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
So
Hey, Slava, thanks for that super chat. Hey, Philips 2020 models, can you advise if it's an OLED, it's good. LCD TVs, in my opinion, unless it's Samsung. Okay, so first of all, we don't have Philips in the USA. So my comments are based purely on generalities of the technologies. And I don't know how Philips LCD TVs are, but I do know their OLEDs are quite comparable to all the other OLEDs on the market. It's just a matter of price, features. I know Philips has great audio, right? They choose some pretty good audio partners. If it's the big brands, Philips, Panasonic, Sony, Samsung, right, LG, and you go OLED, in a dark room, you can't go wrong. Now, Philips makes a big deal about their vivid mode that's color accurate. I mean, if you're in vivid mode, it doesn't matter. It's just crazy vivid mode. So I think among all the vivid modes, Philips probably has the most tolerable vivid modes, but serious cinema files who've seen Philips vivid mode would say, no, we're gonna have to put it back to color accurate. But if you enjoy vivid mode, then it's Philips, basically. But yeah, great question. Unfortunately, we don't have it. Philips here. No Panasonics here either. Hey, Vams, thanks for that super chat, buddy. FOMO, you think Samsung will have harder time selling their QD OLED monitors versus Alienware? We know for sure Alienware cherry picks their panels and will have a native G-Sync Ultimate model. So, this is so much to unpack. G-Sync Ultimate, I believe, is no longer requiring the G-Sync chip on the monitor to be called Ultimate. And I think that's a huge loss for the G-Sync Ultimate. Almost anything that has a high enough spec will be called G-Sync Ultimate, even though it doesn't have that G-Sync chip, which is exactly why those G-Sync Ultimates used to be so awesome. And this is the number one complaint, that you can't distinguish the newer G-Sync Ultimates between the ones that have this dedicated chip to coordinate with the NVIDIA graphics card. I am a huge fan of the G-Sync Ultimate with the chip. Now, these new models, I don't know. If it doesn't have the chip, there's going to be very similar to regular G-Sync or FreeSync Premium Pro. Very similar, right? And then OLED monitor versus Alienware. Hard to say. You're right. Alienware does cherry pick it. Maybe Samsung will as well. But then I guess the price also tells the story. The more expensive one, generally, there's a reason. Obviously, there's also branding, but right now it's all speculation. I say wait until the reviews come out, because the big one for both of these is going to be the motion. How do they handle motion? They'll both have very similar, self-emitting. So the ghosting is going to be completely different. It's not going to be anything like the ghosting that you see on current HDR, mini LED type TVs. We don't know what we don't know yet. So let's see what the problem will be with these future TVs or future monitors. I hope it's G-Sync Ultimate, the real stuff, not that low tolerance ones. Let's see. Am I caught up on my super chats? Yeah, okay. So this is something that I talked to Caleb about. So if you guys saw Caleb Dennison's Digital Trends recent one, talking about Sony's 2022 lineup and specifically the A80K, which is the successor, he was very clear. He mentioned that A80K will have a heatsink. Immediately, I reached out to Robert and said, "Hey, Robert, Digital Trends is saying this. What have you heard?" He goes, I was told no at the briefing. So he was at the briefing for retailers HQ, but this was before CES by a few weeks, right? And I told Caleb, "Hey, Robert's being told no." Caleb's like, "You know what? Let me reach out to Sony and get confirmation." He's still waiting for Sony to confirm. And he's like, this is normally they're a bit faster, so he doesn't know. Maybe they may issue a correction. Maybe this is the case, but there is clearly
that's a game changer.
Oh yeah,
it's a game changer if it has it.
Absolutely. So I think Sony is going to go back. They're going to clear it with whoever, marketing, legal, to make sure that whatever they tell Caleb could, it's clear. It's either a correction, which would be, oh, you know what, whatever. It's what we thought. It's like the A80J. But if it is a heat sink, boom.
But think about that. It doesn't really make sense to put a heat sink on it. I mean, if you put a heat sink on it, then that's the A90J.
Absolutely.
So
that's not bend. That's not bend. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it makes sense. I have no idea. I mean, he knows. Caleb knows the same.
It ends up being an A90J with a lesser remote or something like that, I guess.
Yeah. And again, this is very minor, but I think of these other things like will it have better speakers, the acoustic speakers? Will it work better with the HTA9? Now I thought about selling the HTA9, but then I'm like, well, maybe I should just hold on to it to see how it works with the 2022 OLEDs, because I'm not stoked with how it works with the A90J. I still think that the HTA9 does sound better if you turn off the center channel and you just use the phantom center. But I've gotten like 20 requests to buy my speakers. and I've gotten a few requests to buy your TV here, but I really want to sell your TV because people don't understand.
Wait. I don't think they know that. Let's address that after I answer Jedi Master's question.
Okay.
Hey, how can someone with a very limited budget get an upgrade to a newer, better TV? So Jedi Master, a newer, better TV is any TV today that's larger than what you have if your TV is more than 6 years old. If your TV is more than 6 years old, get the largest TV you could afford and it will still look better pixel to pixel. So let's look at that. Our budget TVs are at $1,000, right? 75-inch, 65-inch size. You have, I'd say, look at the Sony X90J 75-inch, $900. It is a VA panel. The Hisense U7G is a VA panel. So between these two IPS, both the Sony X80J and the Hisense U7G at this size are IPS panels, but the T-Cell 5 series is a VA panel. So any of these three will be fine depending on your brand loyalty. I'd go with the 5 series because it's a VA panel, which will give you a little bit better contrast, dark blacks.
It's going to be a good TV for a lot of people, man.
They're $900, right? Choose one of these three.
These are better than most TVs that people have had before.
6 years ago, these TVs will beat anything you have more than 6 years ago. and it's
The
75 inches.
Yeah. The average person does not have a TV better than the TCL 5 series. I can tell you, going into people's houses,
Right.
I am putting up 65, 75-inch Toshiba Amazon TVs. I'm putting, like all kinds of just garbage,
Yep.
or, these nano 75s or just even below the 6950s, the Samsung, the AU 6950s. So any of these TVs are far better.
Yep. Agreed. Agreed. And a segue to that comment would be this one. Is 55-inch no longer worth considering for high-end TVs? That's it. That's the problem. X95K, X95J did not come in a 55-inch. Samsung still sells 55 inches, but you will see that they will probably stop selling 50, or they will give it bad panels and call it the same model, but it'll have like an ADS panel or something like that. So the answer is, unfortunately, the trend is to move towards 65 and above for the best features. And Sony started that last year, and Samsung, they're smaller ones, I think. Anything under 50 inches, the gaming features don't even work well, right? They're missing a lot of things. The refresh rate's down to 60 hertz. So it's creeping up in that 55. This year, you can still get some good TVs. Next year, the year after. So something to think about. It's not worth considering. It's just the features aren't there because the market is going up. You're seeing it get larger and larger. But yeah, and I couldn't agree more. It's perfect if you're sitting 4 feet away. I sit 5.5 feet away from my 65-inch, and that's the immersion of 43 degrees that I get. I love it. Okay, so what we're saying is we can't find a buyer from 83-inch TV. So the reason we mentioned that is I was telling some of the viewers that partly FOMO, partly I have a 65-inch A90J, and what am I going to do with the A90J 83-inch? I'm not going to spend enough time watching it. As much as I like it, it was very much a knee-jerk purchase, and now I'm like, you know what? It's wasted with me.
Well, right. And you were talking about, using it as a monitor, reference monitor. It's a big reference
It's a
monitor.
big one.
And you don't necessarily need to put that in that space. I mean, mine, so this TV hasn't been touched. It's just sitting here. It's in perfect shape.
And it's calibrated by the
Magician calibrated, Mr.
ISF level 3.
ISF level 3 man calibrated it. And to be honest, I bet you if he's still in the chat, he'd come back and finish, making sure, double check, tweaking it. And
sign it.
Yeah, exactly. He'll sign it on the back. He'll leave his baseball card. And then the quality control, it has very little to no banding at all. And it has a 5-year warranty. So, I mean, like how people are saying, okay, I can go to Best Buy and get this for $6,000. Well, you can get it for $6,000 without any of the stuff I just said. Plus, you don't know if the panel's any good. There's some variants.
Yep.
This one's ready to go. It's good to go. We're talking same price or less, no tax.
Oh,
I mean, it's a piece of cake. I just got
quick
to find
update. I may have found a buyer, buddy. The only thing is I'll have to talk to you offline. He's in Whittier, and I'll have to find a way to get you to deliver it to him. But we'll talk about that.
Well, if we have a buyer, I don't know why I'm coughing. It's because I was yelling at my son so much last night. That's why I'm coughing. Anyways, yeah, no, I can make it happen as long as I don't have to take it to Mammoth again. Now I love Techno Dad. No. I love Techno Dad, and I do that. I travel up to see Techno Dad with or without a TV. But man, that's a long drive. So I really prefer not to go more than like 2. Whittier is only like 2, so it's not that bad.
And you don't have to install it. You just have to drop it off. So that might make it easier.
Let's see. What's the money going to be, guys? How much percentage am I getting? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
That's how it is. That's how it is.
Nah.
What is it? Tom Cruise? Give me the money.
So here we go, right there.
Oh, wait. What did you click on? I missed it.
Sorry. Right here. Yeah, 86K, no tax, quality control, calibration, 5-year warranty is nuts. And he means nuts in a good way. That's, you mean, I know that the stuff, everything added would have been another $1,500 on there. Plus we paid $8,000 for this TV. So.
Yeah, for us, it's kind of like an expense and whatever, and we just have to make the right decision. Sometimes we jump in. Unlike a lens or a camera, we can go back to Best Buy. Like, when you buy an 83-inch TV, there's no returning it. It's just do what you can with what you got. So, yeah. There we go. Hey, Michael, welcome. Hey, don't forget to click like, Michael. I know you just jumped on, but here we
What's
have
up, Mike?
222 viewers. And how many likes do we have? Do we have
I
more
was
than
going to say,
200?
if we get over 222 likes, because some people come and go, maybe I'll give away like a DVD to somebody if we get over 222. So why don't you guys I'll crush the like button. I'll look for a DVD if we can. I would have done that an hour ago. That would have been better because now it's kind of pointless at this point.
Yeah.
But just go ahead and crush the like button.
CMS is a great question. What's up with my renovations? So I've made a few changes or additions in addition to what you guys already know, which is one of the reasons why the A90J 83-inch is changing hands is because I'll be reviewing head-to-head 100-inch ultra short throw projectors, but in order to fit two 100-inch screens next to each other, I have no place to put the 83-inch A90J because it'll be behind the projectors most of the time. And so I'll be reviewing 100-inch whatever because my studio is actually large enough to have them next to each other. So it'll be cool. I think we'll be the first to do that on YouTube, which is connect head-to-head 83 or 100-inch ultra short throws or long throws, whatever, right? So we'll play with that. I don't know how well it'll work out, but we'll see. And this leads me to, I think I'm gonna have to get that 14 millimeter after all, Brandon, because I have to be at a certain distance and fit two 100-inch screens in the same.
Well, here, and this is what I was thinking. So let me show you this. This is my camera right now. It's at 20. So because look at this. This is my camera at 20. That is at 16 or 17. So that's super wide.
And how far is your wall away from the camera? Your back wall?
That back wall? That wall is 15, 20 feet back there. And you can see,
how wide is it?
What's that?
How wide is it?
It's only like 15 feet wide. So, I mean, you could see that you could see 30 feet wide here. But the thing is that you're not going to shoot, those kind of videos at 1.4 anyways, or 1. Because that's stupid. Like I just shot my install video and I had it at 1.4 and my camera was hunting and I'm like, that was dumb. I should have had it at like 5.6 and just cranked the ISO so I have a shallow depth or a bigger depth of field. Anyways, this Tamron 17 to 28 is fantastic. I think it's going to be my go-to lens. I'm probably going to take back the 35G Master because I think this is all I need, and then maybe like a 50 or something.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the 35 is kind of like the gift to yourself to have fun with.
Yes,
but its use case is limited to exactly what you're looking for.
But if I have the Tamron here, and then I go grab like a 24 to 105 4, and I use that for like, out in the real world, that's probably a better combination. I think the bokeh at 1.4 is awesome, but it's unnecessary probably for shooting videos on YouTube.
For me, the 14 millimeter 1.8, not because the 1.8, but the lens is so good. I'm not going to get any vertical or horizontal distortion, which is
they're all great lenses. The primes have less distortion too. Yeah, so you're right.
Absolutely. Hey, Vamps, thanks for that super chat. Alienware is confirming with real modules since no HDMI 2.1. Oh, there you go. So G-Sync Ultimate, the real thing, and has display, play, stream compression.
Yeah, it's 2.0 and that has DisplayPort, right? Yeah.
There you go. I'll tell you this, Vamps, if it wasn't curved, that would be the monitor I would use for just my studio editing, video editing. I'm waiting for a non-curved version of that QD OLED. If the actual QD OLED TV ends up being over 10 grand, I'll wait and I'll just get the 34-inch. But curved is what kills it for me because I'm not going to game on it. I'm going to actually edit videos on it. So, but thanks for the update.
Are there varying levels of curved too? Because my Dell monitor doesn't seem very curved. Well, this Dell monitor is not curved much at all. It's just barely curved. It's a gaming monitor. So they must have like more intense curved screens, huh? I don't know.
I think Samsung has the most intense one. That's because it's so large, the 43-inch almost wraps. But then you have a lot of other issues with that. I have a 5-year. Hey, thanks, John, for that super chat. I have a 5-year-old Sony 75-inch. I forgot the model number. It's so old, but it was top of the line back then. It cost me $5,000. Should I get the 77-inch A80J or the 83-inch A90J? I say wait for the 83-inch G2 2 to be released, it should cost very similar to what you're seeing at the 83-inch A90J, around $6,000, but you're getting, I believe, to be a brighter panel even, because LG is pushing it even harder than Sony. And it's, if you'd like to even game a little bit, it's definitely worth it. And it's not that much more than the A90J. So if you're not in a rush, wait to see what the G2 of the 83-inch costs. If it ends up being too much, yeah, 83-inch A90J. But otherwise, hold on, because once the prices are released, we'll get an adjustment. Everyone's going to start dropping.
Hold on one sec. Yeah, and the thing is, if you like Sony, then at least you could wait until that TV comes out to give it competition, and maybe it'll drive the price down further for the the Sonys.
Yes.
But if I had to choose right now, I would tell most of my friends to get the 77-inch A80J because it's way less expensive. At 8,000 to 3,500, it was one thing. 6,000 for the A90J is a little better then, but it's still not worth that extra $2,500 for 6 inches. I mean, that's a crazy price difference. If you have the money, get it, but you could wait, maybe get a little better deal. It's a great TV though. I love it. And if you want it, an A90J, I got one for you.
Hey, Don.
I actually have 2 of them. So
are you selling both of them?
I'm not trying to sell mine, but like thinking about, like, I'll probably keep mine and then give it for a much, maybe lower price later. Once I okay, now I have 97-inch G2. Now I'll sell this or something, but yours I'm trying to get rid of for you. And I'm thinking of, I have
and I appreciate the work you're putting into it, buddy.
Oh, it's all, I'm not putting in much work. Don't worry about it. I'll help you out. I'm happy to.
Don has a great point. The 49-inch X950H Sony is a very bright TV, and they don't make those like that anymore. So honestly, the best 49-inch LCD TV you're going to be able to buy is one that's 2 years old. After this model year, everyone dropped the quality of their sub 50-inch models. So if you can find a 950H, that's a great TV. So that's something to think about, guys, for sure. And I agree with Corey Hawkins. Yep. 55 inches perfect from 4 to 5 feet away. I sit 5.5 feet away from the 65-inch. That gives me 43-degree viewing angle. It's immersive. I'm just by myself, so it's it's not too close for anyone else. And that's why I say if you're at 10 feet, you have to go 100-inch, whether it's a smaller projector type or LCD TV. Over 10 feet, you really got to seriously think about projector.
For immersion. And there are people that I do installs for that they only have the room for a 55 over a fireplace or in their area. They can't fit a bigger TV and they have money. So they're like, give me the absolute best 55-inch TV. And so maybe that will be that A95K from Sony this year. But it's just, it's weird. Some, in California, a lot of people have these houses that are really small, but they're $2 million houses and they have just money for days. So they're trying to get the smallest, that smallest TV they can fit in their bedroom, but they want it to be good, man.
Hey, Sammy, this is a really good question. Is it normal for LED TVs, so that's LCD TVs or mini LED or full array local dimming zones, right? LED TVs or LCD TVs to have issues with subtitles? Blooming, of course, but I've been noticing a lag to becoming fully white. Okay, so subtitles, all the TV makers do it differently. Like last year, I thought TCL R646 had the best subtitles because it was able to recognize it's a subtitle and kept it dimmer the whole time, which was less distracting for me. The Samsung and the Sony subtitles were like super bright. I was like, oh. So I was used to the TCL dimming it a little bit. Now, I don't know if you could actually adjust that or not, but every TV maker is going to do subtitles a little bit differently. And in a firmware update, they may end up fixing it and making it worse for you because you're used to what it was before and now you don't have it anymore. So for me, subtitles is a moving target all the time. Do you have any preferences for subtitle, or do you even watch subtitles, Brandon?
I don't normally, but I did notice, what was I watching? I was watching something on the A90J and I noticed it did dim with the subtitles pretty significantly, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I think it was like a Netflix movie or something I was watching. I'm trying to think now. And it just, I was watching something, it was bright and the subtitle came out on the bottom and the whole screen just dimmed on the spot. And I was like, it's the first time that I saw that. I'm like, that's the first time, like you guys talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember. It might've been the C1 though. We had 4 kids over last weekend for a sleepover and I moved all the TVs except for yours. I mean, sometimes Jacoby comes here and plays video games on your TV here, but very rarely. But we were moving. I had TVs everywhere. I took pictures. It was pretty funny. But anyways,
That's cool. Yeah, see, that's the thing.
the
Unless
benefit,
you have,
that's the
unless you
benefit.
have a use
Yeah.
case and it hits you, you wouldn't even know, right?
Yeah.
It happens. Hey, Vamps, definitely a monitor fan. So he's giving you the curvatures. I don't know if it means anything to you, Brandon. 1800 to 1900 R is the radius type, and so that's what they're using to measure it. And so the larger the TV, the larger the curve. So I think 1000 R is like the large. To me, curving is not a good thing, but for people who do I think driving games or simulation where they want the simulators where they want to be like immersed. I personally would rather have 3 TVs, a big one and 2 big ones. So you have 3 this way, kind of like a cockpit in an airplane. But some people want that seamless look. So it's depends on the gamer. But
So you need that 49-inch widescreen from you need that mini LED Samsung. Isn't it gonna be like $2,700 for that 49-inch widescreen?
is it,
I don't
or
know.
maybe even more? Yeah,
I thought I heard some stupid price for that
yeah.
thing because
No,
it's mini LED. It's got all
gaming
that.
monitors are not cheap, man. Like Asus gaming monitors that are the full Rogue with the highest level mini
300
LEDs.
hertz and all that.
Yeah, it's not even 300 hertz. I think it's maybe 140 something, but because it's super bright, HDR 1000, it's like $3,000 to $4,000 more
Damn.
so than any OLED. So yeah, gamers, man, they invest.
I will tell you, having this 32-inch widescreen Dell monitor makes editing so much easier. I tried to edit on a laptop and I was lost. The little keyboard, the no mouse.
Right.
I mean, I had to like stretch out the picture to see what I was doing and then stretch out the timeline to see what I was editing. It took me twice as long to edit a video over Christmas. It was crazy.
Once you edit on a 32-inch, can't go back, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott.
That 42-inch OLED, that 42-inch OLED is going to be nice. I might get one of those for editing.
Can't go back. Hey, Scott, thanks for the super chat. I'm waiting for the 42-inch. Yeah, right here. OLED to replace my Vizio M series. Or should I do something else? If you can't go larger, right? You're stuck at the 42-inch size, then OLED is actually very good. It's as good as you're going to get at the 42-inch size, unless you're a gamer and you want that bright HDR impact that comes from mini LED. But I don't think you can go wrong with a 42-inch OLED TV. So yeah, go for it. I think it's the image quality improvement over Vizio M series. You're going to see deep blacks that you've never seen before, and then HDR impact with no blooming. It's going to be pretty awesome. And when you're that close, the brightness is going to strike you in the face, especially if you dim the lights a little bit. Okay. Hey, Spillage. It is only for in-state because, local pickup. Poor Brandon is in San Diego. I'm not going to ask him to drive to Vermont.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, that's the hard part. You got a lot of people asking about it. You got a lot of people trying to whittle me down on the price. Oh, what's your final price? I'm like, dude, I'm not like negotiating price. It's a fantastic TV. Like, I don't really care what the price is. I'm trying to make a deal for you, but it's like, dude, what do you want me to sell it for $4,000 just to make someone happy and then still have to drive it all the way? Come on. Take the deal or just go to Best Buy and get your own,
Yeah, and then you're going to get the whole Best Buy total tech support, everything. And you have someone to call and yell at. Don't be yelling at Brandon. It's not his fault the TV doesn't work, right? You got a 5-year warranty. You can call Sony and yell at him.
Yeah, actually, you can call Waltz TV. They're going to send over a guy to fix it. It's a good warranty. And the warranty, it comes with the fact that you bought it from the guy that buys them from them. So, you got to hook up.
Yep. The answer to Scott's question, hey, FOMO, do you think the 65-inch QN90A at $2,000 will drop to $1,800? It did. During Black Friday, it dropped to $1,700. I don't know if it was exactly on Black Friday, but in October to November, the Samsung QN90A dropped to $1,700 for a day or two. And of course, it went back up again. So I expect it to drop down to $1,800 again. But when it does this time, it's just going to sell out. That's it. This is its price. It's on Prime Day. Buy it. It'll be gone. So if you see it for anything under $2,000, go for it. 1,900, 1,800, 1,700. I don't know how long it's going to last at that price, but people will buy it up when it starts hitting 1,900. Keep an eye on it. Hey, something for you from cryptocologist. Cryptocolorologist. This name always gets to me. Hey, Brandon, how long do you think we have to wait for Bitcoin to go up to 100,000? Are you the Bitcoin expert? And is your opinion entertainment purposes only?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, if I had to guess, I would have thought that at the new year we would have saw like it kind of rocket back up. I thought we were like headed back to 100K, but you know, you have a bunch of different things. You know, not even to get political or anything, but there's just a lot of people are concerned. The Omicron thing's been crushing. We got like Russia trying to start a war, and they're banning crypto, and you just got all this stuff. You're gonna have to let things settle out for a while. I tell you what, if you have some money to put in and you're like, you know, when should I get into the market? I would say it's not a bad time right now. It's about as low as it was last summer, which people thought it would never get this low again. So, you know, I mean, you may have to wait a bit, but if you got some money that you can throw in, I would, you know, I don't think it's going to take too long for most of these cryptos to double up. That's for sure.
This is a great comment by Corey, because the Vizio M series is known for its color saturation. See the difference between my face right here and Brandon's face over there? See the color saturation? This is Vizio.
Oh, yeah, but I'm pasty white. I got the nice Sony. Well, you're on a webcam, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm on a
cheapo
webcam.
$4,000 Sony camera.
See, that's color accurate, and this is like Vizio color, right? Like Vizio does have a higher color volume. Ratings consistently measures the M series as one of the best out there. But then with the LG, you get perfect luminance type control. So what's important to you, right? Yeah. And if you do miss on the there's a return policy. Get the OLED, you don't like it, return it, right? But don't get it around the corner where there's no return, because it was a deal you couldn't resist. Am I targeting Monday as the start of Super Bowl sales? Yes, I am. I believe this coming week, keep an eye. And as always, sometimes the deal is only literally for 12 hours, 24 hours. If I post a deal on Twitter or my channel, or anyone posts a deal on their channel, it's when we saw it, right when we post it. It may only be for another 2 hours or 3 hours, because inventory either disappears or it's for a limited time only, and it's not necessarily until midnight. So check back often. I put some of the links below, but you have to refresh the links too, because when it put it out, they have maybe 50, 100 TVs in stock. You put out that price, the sellout is gone. So definitely, it could happen anytime next week. Hey, Shango, thanks for dropping by, my friend. Gentlemen, I'm getting FOMO for the Sony A95K series. Did you get the specs earlier on the X95K and the Z9K? Today's a crazy year for Sony specs to prepare for whenever they release an 83 or 97-inch version. So this is actually a crypto question. If you buy his crypto on the dip, will it go up enough for him to buy the 83-inch QD OLED?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, I don't know. I mean, nobody knows. Like, you know, the right. So here's some bad indicators. A lot of people are saying like buy bonds typically means not going to be good. So just like park your money for a while. So I don't know. People are thinking that there's a real actual market dip coming for like the overall stock market. So if that's the case, I don't know how. I mean, typically Bitcoin and all that follows the market. You know, interest rates are going up. It could be a shaky summer. It could be a shaky spring to summer. Just I wouldn't say put a lot of money in. Just DCA in if you're going to do it, which is not, you know, that's just what I would do. Put in $100 whenever you can. Just you know, don't even think about it. Put it in the top couple cryptos: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana. I wouldn't be putting them in like the metaverse stuff right now, you know, unless you expect to lose the money. I mean, you can lose your money.
Metaverse, right? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I think what surprised a lot of people is Bitcoin was considered the hedge against inflation. So now it's confirmed we're going to have runaway inflation, and then Bitcoin is dropping, and of course gold is going up, blah blah blah. So it's still speculative, guys, and that's what we're
very
talking about.
Speculative.
It's entertainment only, but it's speculative entertainment.
But if you can put a little bit in now and you can watch it rise back up, you can make some money. Yep. I feel bad for Tech with KG. I think he entered the market at like the top. I feel bad. So he probably lost he probably lost 70% of his money.
He had the fear of missing out on the ride, and now he's catching the fall, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, what's a bigger issue? Not enough brightness on the OLED or blooming in DSC? Okay, so it's not. So let's define this. What is the bigger distraction, right? For me, it's a problem if it's a distraction. If it's nice to have, but it's not a distraction, it's not an issue. Brightness on an OLED or lack of brightness on an OLED is not a distraction. It's nice to have, but it's not a distraction. But blooming for me on a black bar is the ultimate distraction. It is horrible because it takes you out of the movie. The black bar is supposed to be black. The blooming on the black bars is a huge distraction. The DSC in most movies is not noticeable unless it's terrible. But if it's what we call non-returnable DSC, meaning the warranty won't cover it because the manufacturer says, hey, it's within our tolerance, you just have sensitive eyes. I'm sorry. That DSC to me is not as distracting as the blooming and on the Neo QLED. So the Neo QLED does not have black bar blooming if you get the QN90A. Its black bars are easily the best, period, in 2021. There is no scene, or like maybe 1% of scene, that you're going to see blooming on their black bars. It is that good. So if you don't like distraction, the QN90A, top notch for that. Now, the QN85A, you're going to see a little bit of blooming because it's terrible off angle and it is IPS. So on the edges, its blooming will be worse than the QN90A. DSC, I think most content, it's a non-issue, but if you're gaming and you have bright, and a lot of people complaining of grids and stuff, you just have to check your panel. But the blooming is the worst for me, especially with a black bar. OLED is nice to have. So everyone who wants, I want a bright OLED, that's nice to have. But your content is not demanding it to be bright. You're pushing it beyond what the content is demanding. So that's my rant. Thank you. Excellent question.
I'm gonna have the jet here.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
do like
I was just
5
waiting
minutes.
for you to tell me. How about
No worries.
last call, 5 minutes?
Last
Last
call for
call for
alcohol.
questions? Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
know what? I
agree.
obviously was at far too many bars in my life to always say that after I say last
Yeah.
call for
Oh,
alcohol. Growing up in Wisconsin and going to college in Wisconsin, you enter a lot of bars in your life.
Corey brings up a good second half to this comment. It does crush a little. So the Q90 is great for blooming control, but because it has excellent blooming, it does have a little black crushing. But this brings up the question, is black crushing a distraction? If you don't know that it's being crushed, it's not a distraction. But you can always tell it's blooming because it looks unnatural. So this is why Samsung is killing it. Unless you have two TVs next to each other, you can't tell the Samsung is crushing unless you know the content so well. You're like, wait a minute, this should be a little bit brighter here. It's when I compare it with an OLED do I say, the Samsung's crushing this. You take away the OLED or you take away the Sony that doesn't crush, it looks fine. And that's why Samsung errs on the side of crushing, not on the side of blooming. So
So
this is a good point.
I have another thing to say real quick before, if you could put that back up, or whatever, you don't have to put it up. But I had this, so you can check out my video from today, the QN90A, the A90J. I actually saw more detail in the Samsung, but the really, really like small highlights were a little bit like brighter on the OLED.
Mhm.
But overall, the Samsung had really good detail. It looked, if you compare them, it looked a little bit, didn't have the best contrast compared. But, again, I think in a brighter room or just in your typical room, a lot of people will appreciate the Samsung for its overall brightness. It didn't blow it out of the water. I just wish they could get some of the darker content to be brighter without, like what you're saying, like just not only just crushing detail, but like just on the darker scenes have a little bit more punch, just a less aggressive dimming.
Mhm.
Because I thought that the detail was fine. I just thought that it should have been a little bit more impressive in some of these darker scenes. So I don't know does that make sense? That's kind of like I'm kind of splitting, or I'm trying to have my cake and eat it too.
But then you know what the deal, or you know what makes the deal? It's 85 inches. That's
yeah,
what ends up, because
huge.
it's the
It's just huge.
Q90A 85 inches, let's say just above 3,000. But to get to 83 inch, you're at above 4,000 with a C1 and almost 6,000 with the A90J. So you're getting so close to that size, and the image quality is still spectacular, I think. This question is for you, I think, because you actually had the A8H. Do you think the Sony A8H is very dim, too dim? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I thought it might look dim, but then I had it up against a C10 at the time, and it looked a little brighter than the C10, or it was
Oh,
close
there you
to
go.
it. So, or it was right there. But I mean, it depends on what you watch. Like we would watch some things, and you'd think it was, and you'd watch like I don't know. There was, I think at the time, the Bridgertons, and we're like, holy crap, it's so bright. But here's the thing. Here's the main thing, Sam. It's the size of the TV. You get a
Mm.
77-inch, you're not going to care.
Yep.
I had a
Yep.
55-inch 14 feet away from me. That's why it looked dim.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good point.
The Sony A8H is a great TV. I have a 55-inch. Love it. It's a good TV. I'm trying to sell it though because I have too many TVs. So
Yep.
someone wants to take it, call me.
And unless you have another TV next to it, you're not going to notice it, especially if the room's light controlled. In a bright room, it might be dim, right? But if it's light controlled, like where we are sitting, it's not bad at all.
Go
Nestor,
grab one of those. Go grab one
Yep.
of those Sony AU8000
Oh,
TVs, and then try to put HDR on that, and you can't even see the picture. It's so
nope.
black. It's like impossible.
Yep. Yep. We're spoiled. Nestor, thanks for
Yeah.
the super chat. We're going to wrap up. No more super chats. Everyone, we're going to get all your super chats before we go, but we're going to wrap it up soon. Thank you for that super chat, Nestor. X90J, is it good for gaming? If it's a PS5 you're gaming on, it's fine. But if you're looking for the full gaming experience from a Series X for a PC, the answer is we won't know if its VRR is going to work well with 4K 120 HDR. So the answer is depends on what you're gaming on. I'd say look at the LG OLEDs first, the C10 or the C1 or the C2, then the Samsungs, then lastly the X90J. But if you're on a PS5 and you're not crazy about all the specs, the X is perfect for the PS5. Hey, Sean, thanks for that super chat. Hopefully, QN90B and the Z9K are reviewed sooner than later this time. So, Sean, if you saw the leak, someone was saying that it's going to be $15,000 to $35,000 for the Z9K. You are not going to have a head-to-head combat. That is just, it doesn't even
Never
make
say
sense.
never. Never say
Never, though.
never. I'm
Never say
kidding.
never. But that's assuming the leaks are true. If it
Yeah.
is 15,000 for the 75-inch and 30,000 for the 85-inch, it doesn't make sense. If you have the money, you're just getting the Z9K because it's got what, five times more dimming zones than the Samsung. It is literally engineered to destroy the Samsung. Engineered to do that. So the answer is, if there is a review, no one would be surprised if it destroys the Samsung. But if it matches the Samsung, you got a great deal. So we'll have to wait. Good comment. All right, let's wrap this up. Another super chat.
That's okay. It's quick.
We're here for Sean. We're here for you, Sean. Loved the QN90A review by the installer. You did it now. You convinced him. But expected the QN90A to be
There's
reviewed.
none in stock. There was none in stock.
There is. It's done.
And plus, I tried to convince the guy who bought this QN90A to get the QN900A when he had the chance. But the problem is it was, $5,500 versus $3,000. And he's like, am I going to notice the difference? He didn't want the AK. He got this. He's going to love this TV. It's huge. It's beautiful.
Yep. And hey, just Sharon, thank you for that super chat, Shungo. We're so glad you're here. I'm excited about the lineup TVs. Dude, when I heard how much these TVs are, I'm even more excited because there is a connection between the cost and what they want it to do. So I'm excited.
They better be good.
So much. It better be good, right? And I can't wait. Peace out. Thank you for showing your excitement. And Sean, I don't see a super chat, but hey, you know what? If you're just giving money, we'll take it. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great
Saturday, guys.
Have a great Saturday. Put in your whatever it is you're going to be betting on with
Go Packers.
Coming up. Go Packers.
Go Packers.
Good enough for me. Until next time, pass the remote.